be calm. Just be calm. You know, sometimes we tend to overhype situations. You know, kind of our imagination gets in our own way. I'm like, oh my God, it's gonna be like taking candy from a baby. No wonder Mike wins all these championships. Life has this cyclical nature where it's, you know, what you do on Monday is fantastic, but then Tuesday is a bad day. But guess what? There's Wednesday.
Top 10, I got a top 10. Got my motivation high for my top 10. Gotta learn from the wise women and men. All my life, like 9 to 9. For my top 10, top 10, top 10, 9 to 9. This one's for my top 10.
Need motivation?
Watch the Top 10 with Believe Nation.
Hey, it's Carmichael, and this channel was created to help you overcome the #1 challenge that is holding you back, a lack of belief in yourself. You watch these videos because you know there's something more inside you too. You have Michael Jordan level talent at something. So get ready to be obsessed, be calm, and be willing to adapt with Kobe Bryant and my take on his top 10 rules of success to give you the confidence, motivation, and belief that you need. Enjoy. Okay, let's kick it off with rule #1. Unpack your emotions.
What I try to do is just try to be still and understand that things come and go. Emotions come and go. The important thing is to accept them all, to embrace them all, and then you can choose to do with them what you want versus being controlled by emotion. You know, a lot of times I've seen players, even myself, you know, when I was younger, being consumed by a particular fear, and to the point where you're saying, okay, nah, it's not good to feel fear. I shouldn't be nervous in this situation. Like, nah. And it does nothing but grow versus stepping back and saying, yeah, I am nervous about this situation. Yeah, I am fearful about this situation. Well, what am I afraid of? And then you kind of unpack it. And then it gives you the ability to look at it for really what it is, which is nothing more than your imagination running its course, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love that, because what you're saying is that when you're dealing with something, it's almost like, how can I get to the root of it?
Yeah.
Because sometimes what we're dealing with, like you're saying, it's an imagination, an illusion. It's not really...
It's not really a thing, you know? Like you think about game-winning shots or game-winning free throws, and people go to the free throw line and they're nervous about it. Well, what are you really nervous about? If you unpack that, okay, you're nervous that you're going to miss the shot. All right, so you miss the shot, then what happens? People are going to be embarrassed. You're going to be embarrassed because thousands of people, millions of people see you miss the shot. All right, and then what? People are going to talk bad about you. Okay. Right. And so you're looking at it and you go, are those things even important? You know what I mean? If that is my fear, like what is, you worried about letting your teammates down? Okay. Have you let them down before? Oh, I'm sure. In practice and things of that nature, right? They're still there. Yeah. You know? And so when you're able to unpack it, you kind of look at it for what it is, which is really nothing.
Rule #2, be obsessed.
When you're going into the league, you're going with a lot of guys that were, you know, same age, you know, same class as you were going in.
Yeah.
Were you sizing those guys up the same exact way as you did in high school?
I did, but you know, in the NBA, it was actually easier because what I found in the NBA is a lot of guys played for financial stability. And when they came to the NBA, they got that financial stability. So therefore, the passion and the work ethic and the obsessiveness was gone. So I'm looking at that, I'm like, oh my God, it's gonna be like taking candy from a baby. No wonder Mike wins all these championships. It's like, this is crazy. You know what I'm saying? And then you had the players that had that passion, but weren't willing to commit their entire lives to doing that, right? It's a choice, right? You have other things. You have family. You have all these other things that you have to do. The game can't really be your #1 priority. And so I was just looking at that like, man, this is going to be fun.
Rule #3, put things in perspective.
You've always gone at it. What took you a while? What was something in your life that you were shy about originally, or that took you a while to go head on with, but then finally you got there and you figured it out?
Writing Dear Basketball. That was a hard jump, you know, because I'd written before. I mean, I started writing probably about 17 years ago. And so practicing every day, a lot of things that I wrote were ads. And so when you write an ad, nobody looks up at who wrote the ad, right? You can there's a certain anonymity that comes along with that, right? But writing Dear Basketball was different. It's putting it out there for the world to see. It's trying to create a short film. And I didn't know if I could do it, man. And You know, it was my daughter who kind of put things in perspective for me, Gianna. She's now 13, and she was like, well, you always tell us to go for it. So
She put you on the spot.
she put me on the spot. She was like, you going to talk about it? You going to be about it, basically. And, and that gave me the final push.
Rule number 4, be calm.
What habits allow you to consistently come through in the clutch and specifically when it matters most?
Just be calm. Just be calm. Sometimes we tend to overhype situations. Kind of our imagination gets in our own way.
Yeah.
And at the time, Brian, D-Wade, and a lot of those guys, especially Brian, was still young.
Yeah.
And hadn't really figured out those pressure situations. And for me, I was able to detach myself from it and to allow the work that I put in at practice to manifest itself during the game. Right? So there's no need to panic. Like I've taken these shots thousands and thousands of times before. Right. Nothing changes.
Yeah.
I've had games that I've won, games that I've lost at the buzzer. You show up the next morning and you get to practice again anyway.
Right.
Right? So not getting in your own way.
Also, if you want to have more confidence, check out my 254 series. It's free. The link to join is in the description below.
If you wake up in the morning and you're dreading going to work, dude, do something else. Right. Do something else. And those are hard decisions to make. But when you make those decisions, it's a very liberating experience. There's certain things that we want to get to, but we have to pace those out because we have to have absolute focus. You start with, what do you want your game to be? What would make your game most unstoppable or hard to deal with?
Rule number 5, sacrifice.
If I'm buddies with you from high school, if I'm a cousin of yours, what happened to our relationship? How did that gravitate when you went into the league and you're determined to become the greatest, or you're determined to become one of the greatest? What happens to our relationship?
Oh, it suffers.
It does suffer.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you understood that. You were okay with that.
Well, yeah. And the people that love you, like friends and family, like they know that about you.
Got it.
So they let you be you. And when you reconvene, you pick back up where you left off. Mm-hmm. But make no mistake about it, everything in between is lost, right? So those long-term relationships, the commitment of time of, taking vacation. Like I see a lot of players take vacations with other players that are close friends. And they'll just take vacations just to take vacations, or just hang out just to hang out. Like I never did that. But
why not though? Why didn't you do that?
Well, because when I retire, I didn't want to have to say, I wish I would have done more. I don't want that.
Rule number 6, prove yourself.
In today's NBA, you see a guy like Kevin Durant go to Golden State.
Yeah.
You would never have made that move.
No, I wouldn't have. But, different strokes for different folks, man. When I was coming up, it was Kobe can't win without Shaq. But I've never heard that argument made about Magic and Kareem.
Right.
Or Michael and Pip. Right. But that was the thing being thrown my way. And I was like, all right, well, it is what it is. Let's see.
Rule number 7, be willing to adapt.
You were born in Philadelphia.
Yep.
Yet you spent quite a bit of your time as a child in Italy.
Yep.
Right? What was it like having to move away from the States, learn a new language, and how did that experience play a role in who you ultimately became?
Well, it was, when we moved, I was 6. And my sisters were 7 and 8. And at the time, we didn't know anything.
Right.
Right? We were in Philadelphia. We didn't know much. Our parents kind of tricked us into saying, well, at the age of 12, you could ride around on like a moped and drive around. That got us excited about moving to Italy.
Right,
so,
right.
But once we moved over there, it was amazing because we didn't really understand, kind of the shift that was occurring. Right? You get there, you're immediately put into an Italian school,
right,
where nobody speaks English, and you have to adapt. You have to adapt. You have to adjust, and I think it had a way of opening our minds a little bit more to what's possible, and being able to, or being willing and comfortable to adapt to new things.
Rule number 8, understand ins and outs.
Who were some of the guys that you saw and you watched that weren't just driven by the money? Were there some names that you looked at and says, these 3 guys are as crazy as I am?
At the time, I deal with what I've referred to as Goat Mountain. I went to Goat Mountain and I talked to Magic, Michael, Bird, Hakeem Olajuwon, Jerry West, Oscar Robinson, Bill Russell, You know, so I would talk to them. What did you do? What were your experiences? Michael in particular, he's become my big brother. He's been my big brother since I first came in the league. And what was that process like? Right? So I went to them and started understanding the ins and outs of the game and, you know, how they approach things and their level of detail and obsessiveness. And that's what I did.
Rule number 9, keep improving.
How did you get that mentality of just being like, I need to get over this. Like, I need to get over myself.
You know, trial and error. You know, you grow up and you make game-winning shots and it's awesome. And you come back the next day and miss a game-winning shot and it's misery. And then the next day comes and you're back playing again. And you understand that life has this cyclical nature where it's, you know, what you do on Monday is fantastic, but then Tuesday is a bad day. But guess what? There's Wednesday.
Yeah.
So are we just supposed to live our lives like this the whole time? You know, versus just staying like this and understanding that it's really just a journey of evolution every day. It's just constant improvement, constant curiosity, constantly getting better. The results don't really matter. It's the figuring out that matters.
Yeah. And we all get obsessed about the results.
Yeah.
Like we get obsessed about like the output,
Yeah.
not the input, of not figuring it out and not like changing things. What you said, trial and error, like the experimenting.
Yeah.
We forget to do that.
It's unfortunate, man. Like I've seen a lot of players, especially now, you know, in youth basketball dealing with that. You have players that are like bigger and faster and stronger, and you know their coaches are just coaching them for results. You know, we're just going to use your size that because you're bigger than every other 12-year-old out there to dominate today, but they're not growing, right? So they're just based on that result, but they're not focused on growing this young child into becoming a better athlete, and through that, teaching them how to become a more well-rounded person, and we're missing that.
And rule number 10, the last one before a very special bonus clip, is have fun.
That was a fun timeout because Coach K was in the timeout going crazy. You guys are going to f this up. We cannot lose this game. Pull it together. And I swear to you, and I'm sitting there and I'm looking around. I'm kind of looking at the stands and I'm hearing him rant. I'm seeing his hair moving. His face gets really red and stuff. And, you know, Brian's, you know, biting his fingernails. That's like his habit. And D-Wade's like in his zone. Everybody's kind of in there doing their own little thing. And I just had a chance to kind of look around, take it all in. And then, you know, Coach K stands up and he has back issues, right? So he's kind of kneeling down because it's so important. Then he stands up and he kind of like does one of those things. I had to laugh. So I just started laughing and Coach K looked at me and goes, "It's not funny." I said, "I'm sorry, Coach, but we got it, man. We got it. Relax, we got it." He goes, "All right, well, show me the black mamba." I was like, oh my God, did you really just say that right now? Did you really just say that right now? Don't worry about it, we're good.
I love that.
Now I've got a special bonus clip from Kobe on how to be responsible that I think you're gonna enjoy. But before that, it's time for the 3-point landing questions. Let's go from just watching a video to taking action. Here we go. Question number 1. How can you have more fun in your life this week? Number 2, where do you need to keep improving yourself? And number 3, what do you need to get more obsessed about? And if you made it this far in a video and you commit that you're gonna take action, we don't just watch videos here, we do something, give me a hashtag believe down in the comments below because I want to celebrate you.
I always get to practice really early. My routine is always the same. You know, I'd wake up 4 in the morning and I'd lift weights, you know, really early, 5 in the morning. Get home at about 6:30 in time to wake up the kids for school. And then I take the kids to school every morning. That's what I do. I take them to school, and then after I take them to school, I go to practice. I drive to practice. And this is when, before people started really moving down south, so I can get down to LA in 30, 40 minutes, right? So I practice, I'd stay late after practice, get my shots up, treatment up, drive back, and I can get back in time to pick the kids up from school, you know, after school activities, all that fun stuff, even on weekends. But then traffic started getting really, really bad. Right, and I was sitting in traffic, and I wound up missing like a school play because I was sitting in traffic, and this thing just kept mounting. And I had to figure out a way where I could still train and focus on the craft, but still not compromise family time. And so that's when I looked into helicopters and be able to get down and back in 15 minutes, and that's when it started. And so my routine was always the same: weights early in the morning, kids to school, fly down, practice like crazy, do my extra work, media, everything I needed to do, fly back, get back in carpool line, pick the kids up. And my wife was like, "Listen, I can pick them up." I'm like, no. I want to do that because like, you know, you have road trips and times where you're not you don't see your
Right.
kids, man.
Right.
You know, so like every chance I get to see them and spend time with them, even if it's 20 minutes in the car, like I want that, right? So that would be my routine all
So
the time.
no nap though, because you had no nap because you didn't have time for that.
If I was tired, I'd take a nap.
Yeah.
Like I pick them up from school, right? Go home, I lay down for about an hour or so, and then I go to the game. But that wasn't like a set routine for me. If I was tired, I went to sleep. If I wasn't, I didn't.
If you want another awesome video in our Black Excellence series, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.